Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the Brick Something News. Today is Sunday, October 13th, and I am joined today by endlessfables, aka Brian George. I forgot to ask you which you preferred, sir.
Brian's fine, or endless. I don't care.
Okay, so we'll be going back and forth. We were just talking about it. I introduced myself, but my real name Sergio or Sergio, and we're like, do I call you Sergio? Do I call you Brick? Either way, we're here. And sorry we were late. There was a bunch of wild apes going around here. It's like last week it was goblins. Today it was apes. It's just pandemonium. But hey, man, I hope one, I'm happy you're here.
Thanks.
I am getting some awesome like messages right now that's saying like, hey, you're out of memory, which is fun. So let's see if I can close some things. That's why my camera just went out, which is kind of fun. Hi, everyone. This is like live YouTube. I'm so sorry, Endless. This is obviously not part of the plan. Well, with that said, it's just my face. How about we talk and say hello first to the folks. Let's say hello to Dorlax and how's it going? Ahoy, hoy. And while I'm doing this, I am multitasking. Hey, Star. Great to see you. Hey, Josh Brown, great to see you. Speaking Moistly is here. Let's see. Nolan, of course, is here. Thank you so much. Damn, my short was hot. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I finally got back to doing the shorts. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I swear I'm going to be right there. Let's see. Brick, we know what you look like. Let's do voice only. Fair enough. Yeah, something like that. And then did you try turning it off and turning it back on? I've blown in the cartridge. I've tapped it on the side 3 times. I've done everything. I've hopped on one foot, still not working. Hey, what's up? Adrian Vasquez, another member of the tribe and another dope toy photographer like yourself, is here as well. Okay. endlessfables, aka Brian George. We have met through been online, but mainly like where I've gotten to know you a little bit more and sort of appreciate your work is because of all the awesome stuff you've been doing with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. But you, sir, have been, I know, taking a lot of photos and helped with a bunch of other community members start up the AWOK photo collab group that's been starting up every week. But first, I was hoping you could give us like maybe a little bit of background about your sort of toy habits, toy collecting in general, and maybe how you found AWOK, and then how did you get into the whole toy photography thing as well?
Well, I got into toys to do toy photography. To be honest,
Oh, okay.
I started out with Star Wars, which I've had toys all my life. Kenner, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, just different things. And I really I started buying Star Wars like one right after another. And I kept thinking, I need this, I need this, I need this to go with this, and this to go with this. And so I built up a large 3 3/4 inch army of stuff. And I never took a picture of anything because I was continually chasing everything. So I after that, I kind of went into Marvel Legends, for a while. And then I saw these little critters called Plunderlings. Some of y'all know what those are. And I was aware of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom back when I was buying Star Wars. I may have rubbed elbows with Jason looking at his figures while I, moved on to look for Star Wars stuff, the 4-inch line. But around the time I was getting into Plunderlings, I I noticed that I started taking a look at AWOK. I started taking a look at Valorverse. I started taking a look at the independent toy lines because they kind of interested me a little more than some of the others. Some of the stuff that I originally knew.
Mhm.
And the Plunderlings have so much personality. I just started snapping photos of them. You can take a picture of them climbing up side of a cup or whatever you want to do with them.
So your
They kind of,
sorry, but your very first sort of photos were of these guys.
yeah, that
I
was
love
when
that.
I
I love that. Okay.
started my Instagram, and PL Toy Box. I started talking to him, some of the others. I'm jealous for anybody able to go to LegionsCon because about everybody that I'd like to meet and see and talk to is going to be there. So, but there's a lot of the community is very strong with the Plunderlings too.
Yep.
I had a typo in my original Instagram account, which was I can't even remember my name anymore. Plunderling Today, which originally was supposed to be Plundering Today, but so so I changed it to Endless Fables, and I had a few people like, did Plunderlings ask you to take that down? I was like, no, I wanted to expand. I finally found my name. That's what I told them. But yeah, Plunderlings was a big part of that. And I still love the Plunderlings. I've got several, I got 20 or so sitting over there on the shelf. And then, I started getting into Animal Warriors, the Kingdom. I really enjoy, I collected Marvel Legends and stuff. After picking up a Animal Wars of the Kingdom, they just have good balance because I love to pose them and that kind of thing. So that really stood out to me, and I liked the look of a lot of the characters, Atreyu and Pale and Kali, and just a lot of the different versions of those characters. And at the same time, I was purchasing some Valorverse figures. I really like Valorverse's sci-fi looking the Horde. Well, it's not the Horde; it's the
Swarm.
The Swarm.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah, so I
there's
really
some
like
back
the
here.
sci-fi. Yeah. So I was buying a few of those, but I really enjoy the indie toy lines because I feel like there's more passion that goes into that than the Hasbro or Mattel stuff that we see, because of all the creativity that and the stories. I mean, I love the comics that come from these toy lines, Savage Crucible, and I did reading the stories or being able to read the comics, and I feel like I got stale with Marvel Legends and DC, just with the storylines and stuff. So that's kind of my journey, So I had somebody send me a message. He's like, "Do you know anybody else that takes pictures of Animal Warriors: The Kingdom?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I see him. Just following Jason. I saw things he posts in his stories and stuff, and I was like, well, there's this person or this person." He's like, "But they don't post every day like you do." I was like, "Well, let me do something about that." And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to start the collab group. Plus, I wanted the community to grow and that kind of thing. So.
Oh my God, it's been such a huge help. And it's funny because particularly with, you mentioned sort of the indie lines and how there seems to be more passion. That's both with the toy makers, right? As well as the toy fans. Because we kind of have to, because it's a guerrilla deal, right? It's a brand new toy line. You're trying to cut through the, the sort of like the news cycle, if you will, trying to get the attention of toy buying folk. And, it's always sort of this thing with, you know, it's like, well, people know Hasbro, people know Mattel, and so there's that. But like, not everybody knows like what is this weird like ape cat thing, or what is this cool little like the Plunderlings, right? These little like demon like fawn devil things, and so it takes a little bit more work, and as a result, I think that naturally translates to a fan base for these toy lines that are just like super eager to like let folks know about their love for these things and enter yourself, right? The person who's passionate and wants to take pictures all the time and share that. But you were taking pictures of like, you know, your classifieds as well, right? I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
you
I
eventually
haven't
came back.
I haven't totally ignored them, you
Right,
know,
right, right.
and I'll be honest, some of my pictures I take, I use it as a platform to reach more people for the independent toy lines. I mean, it's,
Mhm.
you know, if I can mix a AWOK figure with a GI Joe classified figure, that's more people looking at the AWOK figure. So,
Right, right, right.
you know, and I've always rooted for the underdog, and you know, I one day I would like for somebody to walk down the toy aisle and see AWOK, see Savage Crucible, see all these different toys that we don't see every day. Because the hardest thing for me about the independent toy lines is wanting to hold them in my hands before I purchase it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Fair enough.
So, but yeah, I still enjoy the Hasbro, the GI Joe classifieds and the Marvel Legends and stuff. You know,
Well,
but
these look great. I mean, I totally hear you. Like when you explain the Plunderlings thing, you're 100%. They like beg to be shown off and taken pictures of. There's like ton of personality, right? But
right,
I'm really glad that you also are, you know, all of your other toys. Like you bring these toys to life. Of course, Savage Crucible, beautifully sort of photogenic sculpts and paint jobs, and even you know, I know you kind of were saying a little bit that you were getting I don't know the word you used, but maybe you were less inspired by your classifieds. But this is great, man. This is like, you know, mixing it up and
that's Tiger Force with a tiger.
oh,
So,
right. Good job. I didn't catch that, but you're absolutely right. That totally is Tiberius Force, Tiger Force. But no, here even, right? It's sort of like this is great. But so then if it was AWOK that got you started taking pictures, what has it been like a year and a half, 2 years of taking pictures?
uh, 2.5 years, I guess.
That's
So,
awesome. Can you tell us a little bit then about, I know this is not exactly how I said it would go, but can you talk a little bit about the transition then to what you've been doing with the collab, the AWOK photo collab?
well, I just wanted to bring people together that love this toy line, and then also, you know, I wanted to help other people share their work, you know, with the community and push it forward.
Mhm.
And you know, I've met a lot of people along the way. Vaz is one of those. I, I saw him in the comments a little earlier.
Yep, yep.
You know, I want people to, you know, uh, have a place to go and talk toys. You know, we don't always talk Animal Wars of the Kingdom. We talk about other independent toy lines and stuff in our group, and you know, other things that we're doing, and you know, but AWOK is a big part of our group. So,
Did that
and
work?
I want to see, yeah, I see.
Magic. Okay, I think I'm kind of sort of back to normal, but that's great. You were bringing folks together, and so when I shared this because as this was sort of starting up, I was like, hey man, I really want to highlight this, and you know, in our weekly AWOK Wednesday updates over on the Kickstarter, because you know as well as I do that last Kickstarter campaign really helped, I feel like, kind of bring together the tribe in a big way. Like a lot of people really kind of came together. Plus there was a different kind of presence, right? That
And you froze up.
what to say, but I appreciate you so much. And I don't even know what the deal is with do I sound okay?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. But okay, well, I'm gonna just keep going, and the picture and everything seems fine.
Yeah,
Okay, well, let's just go. I'm so sorry. So what did I
that's all
miss on
right.
the show so far?
I don't remember. I was making it up as I went along.
Hey man, you win an award, and I'm so sorry to put this pressure on you, especially since I know this is your first time. But I'm sure folks would agree who are watching that you're kicking ass. So, did you answer this? I'm curious because I missed it. Which AWOK figure is your favorite? Endless or your favorite?
Atreyu,
Okay.
both versions, but I'll be honest. I don't set my figures up to display them. I have all my figures in bins. AWOK is not in the bins like everybody else is in the bins, but uh, I'll go to a bin and I'll pick a figure up and I'll be looking at it and it'll just speak to me because I want every picture to be different and that kind of thing. So, but Treyu did go with me to Disney this year and that kind of thing.
I saw that. He made it to Galaxy's Edge, man. He got to see the Falcon. I saw that. That was really cool. Okay. Well, I do love me some Atreyu as well. Let's see. And then some other folks were like people like Blight, which I know you've taken some pictures of. Josh Brown is saying hard reboot. See, Josh, you jinxed it. I was there and then boom. I did not do that on purpose, man. I meant totally. Let's see real quick. In the process, when I get some money, hey, Thor, I hope you get to see some AWOK action, if that's what I'm understanding. Solo Sinners here. He loves the toys, the creators, and the community 100%. Yeah, totally frozen in time. Great to see you too, Carlos. By the way, thank you for joining us. Adrian Vaz is saying thanks for the shout out, man. No, thank you, because you guys have been doing some amazing work. And I think I'm kind of all caught up with the chat. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. If you haven't noticed, it's because I wasn't here. Okay. So we've established that you're doing this thing with the collab. How far did you get into telling that story and how that's been going?
I didn't talk about it too much.
Okay. So then can we continue back on that? Well, let's see. Can you go back about like how did it start, and then if people wanted to join, what would they need to do? And I'll bring up the images in a second.
If you want to join, just reach out to me or any of the other people that you might see when we share their pictures and stuff, and we'll add you to the group. When I first started out, I was like, I've never really done this. I've been a part of a couple, so I was just inviting random people that I knew had AWOK figures and talked about AWOK figures, but and then I started watching Jason's feed and seeing who he might post and that kind of thing, and reaching out to them and say, hey, do you want to be a part of a collab?
Right.
And so that's kind of how it started to grow. I just wished I'd have done it sooner than later, but yeah, it's
can I ask you on that note, for those of us that aren't toy photographers and for anybody that doesn't necessarily follow them very well, this notion of a collab, like this has become a thing on social media, right? How does that basically work for the folks that may not be familiar?
Basically, if you get one or two people together and say, hey, my buddy Tom wants to work on a photo together, and we, say we theme it out like Spider-Man with Punisher or something like that. That's a good idea for a photo. I'll have to write that down. But
is that how that works?
Yeah. So
I love that.
I actually don't write my photos down because my wife will tell me, why don't you write that down? I was like, no, I'll just think of something else. So
nice.
But you both do a photo of a scene or a theme or something like that. So AWOK has kind of been our theme, so that's what we're doing through the collab. And we'll add some themes throughout. I know this week we're going to, not everybody, but a few of us are doing helping hands because of all the things with the hurricanes and stuff that's going on. That was something I personally wanted to do, so we're going to do that, and then we'll probably have Halloween and add some other things to our collab and that kind of thing.
But generally, there hasn't been a theme. It's just basically like, hey, if you want to take pictures of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures, let's do it. And so everybody does. And then you tag each other. And so for the first couple of days when it hits, people are kind of seeing your pictures, and then you're linking through to check out the rest of the photographer's work, right?
Yeah, and we'll be sharing each other's stories and stuff, and help each other grow through that too.
Which is dope. Just another way that like this modern toy collecting age and the toy collecting community is really it's sort of become this really cool collaborative space. Of course, like the internet allows it, right? It gives you a venue to share this stuff, a way to stay connected, and and essentially publish it and have like real-time interactions with people, like talking about your work, asking about your work, and it's pretty awesome in that way.
And it grows how you take your photos too. And I also don't want anybody to be intimidated by, I've never taken a toy photo. I want people to be able to post what they want. If they just do custom figures, I want them to be able to post that. I want to see that.
I love it, man. I love your attitude. I love the way you've really fostered this group to have that sort of, hey man, just go for it. And so much so that I told you in the last couple messages, I was telling the group like, hey, I think y'all are going to inspire me to join in soon. I'm looking at November. And so obviously like I love these guys. So between you guys and the Toilet Takeover, who's kind of running this thing called Toyvember, I think I'm a join in. So you have absolutely inspired me. And so where I could, I wanted to kind of like signal boost it. And, it's sort of like my work with the Spiro team. I also wanted to like genuinely thank the tribe. Like, I don't know how it lands for people on the other end. If like, oh, this is just some like marketing scheme. Like, no, really, it's not. Like I'm just a person who's a fan of the line, who has like reached out to the toy makers and has found myself in this weird position to like try and signal boost everything AWOK. And so I'm like, man, Brian's working on this dope collab with a bunch of people. Why don't we give it a little bit more space also just as a thank you? Like, I know you've been involved in the Kickstarter process. A bunch of the photographers have. So I was like, hey, why don't we just signal boost this every week? We're doing a weekly update about the Kickstarter figures. So like, why don't we also thank the folks who have been really involved? So a couple weeks back, I think it was already like week 3. So I went back and kind of like try to catch up or something like that, if I remember. And so this was the August 21st week. And this is over on Kickstarter in the updates section. So obviously you can just sort of see this on Endless Fables and all the other photographers like Wesley Kissel's Instagram, or Vaz's, who's here today. But you can see like, it's just that folks are sharing their work, all AWOK theme. And we're like, hey, why don't we show this to the rest of the Kickstarter community who's backed AWOK, like build the tribe, let them see like where other tribe members are taking their toys. Love this shot. Like, this stuff is fantastic, and it's just super creative, super fun. And as I've said to you all in the on the IG thread, like, you really are kind of like modeling how awesome these toys are to play with. Like, that's what this is. It's like, let's set them up, let's pose them up. Here's one of your shots here. Anyway, I love what you all are doing. So I'll just kind of scroll through this. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of share about your work on this? Here's week 3 or anything else?
And doing photography, you never figure everything out. It's a continual learning process. You each photo you take might make you a little better. You might be like, oh, I should have done this or that. And you're having trouble with your downloading all your the new software and stuff, I had to delete off some photos because I didn't have enough space to update a lot of things on my computer. So,
right. Love this.
But yeah, I just love seeing the figures in different poses and stuff. And it's funny with the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures. You turn their head a certain way and they get a smirk. You turn their head another way and they got a smile. You turn them and they're like mean looking, and I'm like, I don't know. I love the sculpting on these figures, and I can't wait for a lot of the new stuff coming out too.
Agreed. And I'm gonna zoom back here. No, you're absolutely right. That's something that Adam and I have talked about, how just like expressive these things are. Even though like I still want to see some expressive heads. Like I want to see Kali go like fully aggro. But you're right. You turn them a little, all of a sudden it's like he's in deep thought another way, and you change his body a little bit, and we're reading into it like a different level of emotion, right? Either sarcasm or wit or but yeah, a lot of it has to do with the brilliant sculpts. I love these, even some like old throwbacks to the older figures by Charlie Ryn Pope, aka EIC04. Yeah, so but anyway, like look at this. I love like the action that's happening, that's implied there. Hey, that's you. And like just I don't know. I really appreciate what you all do, and I'm really inspired by it. So I'll keep showing some more. So now you are in week is it 8 or 9 coming up, I guess? Scroll down here.
It'll be week 9, I believe.
Yep. And so it's, as you said, this is the first where you've had a kind of a real theme offered. Not necessarily everyone's going to do it, but this is going to be Helping Hand, right? And I've already seen some of the shots, and I think it's so cool. I kind of love to see some of the common threads in some people, and then you see people kind of take it in completely different directions. This shot is rad. Just messing with the lighting, right?
Yeah.
Jelger. There you go. Yeah, I mean, and then you're also you're playing with these, you're customizing them. You're doing your own thing with these. Like I noticed, like, you know, popping off different heads and working with some of the what do they call them now? The is it primal figures? No, what do we call the primitives? The sort of
the ancients.
Yeah, the ancients. So has that pushed you to and this is week 7, to do some customizing, or were you doing that before?
I really enjoy customizing these things. I've never customized anything till an AWOK figure. And my wife and I went to PowerCon, the last PowerCon that they had, and I won a bag. My wife won a bag of weapons. She'll kill me if I say I won it. She won it. They had a puzzle for everybody. So she won a bag of weapons for me, and one of the gold coins from Savage Crucible. So yeah, I had all these blank weapons that didn't have any paint on them, and I was like, well, I need to learn to paint these things. Which I was there talking to Timothy Peake. He really encouraged me to paint. And, you know, I was like, I just don't want to mess anything up. He's like, you're not going to mess anything up. And that's one of the things I want to say. If you're going to paint these things, you're not going to mess it up. You can paint over it. You can do things to it, which he encouraged me. He's like, if you mess up, just go with it. And that's one of the things that I do. I just go with it, which I know my Joker and my Two-Face has been pretty popular, which I
love the Jokerized AWOK figure.
Derek gave me a hammer at Joe Fest, and I was like, I want to do something with this because I've got the hammers for Thane and stuff, and I was like, well, there's one character that came to my mind from my childhood that always came with a hammer, and it was the Joker. So I was like, I'm doing the Joker. So that's what started all that. So
I love it. So shout out. This is the last week's, and then so there'll be more on this Wednesday. If you're interested, message Brian or anybody else whose names you're seeing here on the screen here. I'll put a link to the latest updates that has them, and you can kind of click directly to their accounts. That's the other reason to highlight them, is like to get people to go to your stuff and follow your work, because they are doing great work. And I want to highlight really quickly the names, at least from the folks that were in last week's group. And that's yourself. That's Ed Action Figs of the aforementioned Toilet Takeover. Steve Mank of Articulated Times. Matt Ramirez, Collectible Fun. That's a dope shot. Emerald Knight, John Mejia of Emerald Knight Photos. Charlie Pope, EIC04. Again, rocking the old school Animal Wars of the Kingdom. Wesley Kissel, Wesley K1701. Easily like one of the coolest shots. When I saw this, I was rolling.
I loved it. I was like, well, I was planning on using Alpha with these, but I don't guess I will now. That one's just that just works too well.
Perfect, right?
I purposely don't look at a lot of people's photos because I'm afraid it'll mess up an idea I have. I'm like, oh, somebody already did it. So
I love it. Mel Mac on the hunt for some AWOK cats. Really cool. Am I saying it? Is it Jelger or Helger? Budding of Raw Toy Photography. I don't know if you know. Raw Toy Photography.
Yeah. You pronounced it better than I would have.
Okay. I love this, man. The horror component. That's vicious. What is her name from? Is it Tiger? From Tiger from Marvel. And then Bill Chestnut. Ooh, yeah, toy photo guy. That's what it was. Bill Chestnut, toy photo guy. Love the select focus on that.
I love the angles on a lot of these.
This one, yeah. The Thanos Copter, rocking some, day glow, magical, mystical powers by Vero Atlas. Love it. Job Thanos. And Vazpix, who I know is in the chat as well. Such a classic shot of the protagonist of the line. So we've got more photos dropping this Wednesday. You can check them out on these guys' social media. And you can always check it out on the Kickstarter updates for the last Animal Wars of the Kingdom Kickstarter. Okay. With that said, I did want to talk LegionsCon still, if the internet gods will work with me today. And so, as you know, I'm going, and the last couple of shows have been about that. I know you were saying that, that's not in the cards for you this year. But I know you've been paying attention in terms of, particularly with AWOK and stuff. You want to share for the folks what your familiarity was with Four Horsemen stuff in general, just so folks have context?
Yeah, I'm sort of familiar with Four Horsemen. I have some Mythic Legions now, which I stood in line at PowerCon with a bunch of Mythic Legions people, just talking to them, asking them questions and stuff, just trying to get familiar with it. My wife bought me the Headless Horseman. That was my first Four Horseman figure. But I'm sort of familiar. I'm familiar with a lot of their sculpting that they did with the He-Man classics, or Masters of the Universe classics. So Dubon's probably my favorite Mythic Legion right now. So it's one of my favorites.
Great figure.
But in my area, I just never really came in contact with them a lot. Living in a small town, and until I went to the toy shows, they weren't really accessible to me. So that was one of the big things too. So
totally fine. I know you were saying I don't really know. You're following it, but you weren't sure about how this conversation would go. Don't even worry about it. It's just look at the cool stuff and react is kind of.
I follow more of the customization of them than anything.
Yep.
So
Then that's perfect. And which is a huge part of it, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So like I said, I did want to talk about LegionsCon. I particularly later want to look at some of the things that are going to be at the show that I think are of particular interest to photographers like yourself. Some people are making some just amazing stuff that I think would just bring your folks' toy photos like to life. And a lot of them are toy photographers themselves. So we'll take a look at that stuff as well as some of the custom stuff. So let's do that. But first, there are a couple of people that have joined in the chat. Suddenly, a wild Chewy appears, and yeah, the Toy Pick community. No Chewing is here, and I know he'll be at LegionsCon. Carlos will be at LegionsCon, who we saw earlier. The Badass Review up here. Who else is going to be there? I know Tiffany's going to be there, in my understanding. Mythic Dolphin will be there. Adam will be there. Josh Brown will be there. Hold on. Adam will be there. Yes, he's waiting for the Jokerized AWOK wave, as am I. Derek Chandler will be there. Don't even worry about it, Derek. You know, you lucked out last week. The internet worked. Poor Brian over here had to run the show for 2 or 3 times now because my internet was being mean. So, okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start taking a look at LegionsCon stuff, but agreed, Derek, you guys are doing some great work. And like, truly, you're showing people how awesome these toys are. And I don't know, I think it's just incredibly fun to watch. That said, let's talk LegionsCon real quick. LegionsCon is kind of special this year, 2024, because it actually falls on the, as it says here, the 25-year anniversary of the studio, as well as the 10-year anniversary of Mythic Legions. And so I kind of want to start off today with a little bit of like irresponsible or responsible speculation, because there's some stuff, some big things happening here. Of course, like it's a big anniversary year. The main event is November 9th and 10th, but as folks know, like this is kind of like Mythic Week or like Four Horsemen Week. And so the Friday before the show proper, they actually do this thing called G-Con, where they unveil the next complete wave of Mythic Legions figures. And I've been right here watching it on this TV and, you know, like geeking every like Friday of LegionsCon from home and just being excited about. I've never been so excited to hand somebody so much money, basically, right? I'll make a day of it looking at the wave and be like, here, take my money. But so there's this big question, like, what are they going to do this year? Because it's kind of been, it's kind of an unknown right now, because there are kind of like key factions in the lore. And pretty much the major factions have all been sort of like addressed by past waves. And generally speaking, each wave has sort of addressed a faction or a group within it. And like I said, most of them have been check. And now it's a big question mark. In fact, the sort of last announced kind of like, I guess like a sub wave or in between wave was this thing called the Ashes of Agbender, where they actually went back in time and kind of did a whole wave of like historical stuff in the lore. So there's this big question. It's the 25th anniversary. It's the 10-year anniversary of the line. What are they going to show us? Last Wednesday on Mythic Customs, which is the Four Horsemen's marketing like guru, I forget his actual title, if it's marketing director or what, Jeremy Gerard shared like his excitement about it, saying like, hey, like it's going to be huge. And of course you're probably thinking like you and other folks are thinking, well, like he's supposed to say that, it's his job. Right. But there was a couple of interesting comments. One in particular along the lines of, this will definitely excite Legions fans and Four Horsemen fans, but it's also going to catch the attention of the broader toy industry, which is really intriguing, which is an intriguing comment to say. Because as the folks last night on the Clubhouse, where I kind of hang out on most Saturdays, over on the Ostradamus Toys channel. If you haven't subscribed, you totally should do that. And like, you know, I don't think you need to see the chat, but check out the Ostradamus Toys channel and sub over there. What I'm trying to show you. this. Yeah, that's what, get him. He's so close to 500, folks. Head over, if you haven't already, head over and subscribe. But they're hanging out there last night. I wasn't on, but they were talking about what it could be. And, you see some familiar faces. There's Ed, who is part of the AWOK photo collab, Thanos as well, Joe G, who's like a Mythic Legions diehard, John from the Collecting Brothers, and Adam of Highly Articulated of Spiro fame. They were talking about like, what could this be? Sorry for the buildup, but if you wouldn't mind going on a ride with me, man, I kind of want to share some ideas that they brought up that I've been wondering about as well, and we'll spend a little time doing that. Is that okay? I put you to sleep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Okay. So there's this thing about a dragon. Have you heard this? Have you heard Mythic Legions fans talking about a dragon?
I've heard about dragons all my life. So yeah, I've heard about the dragon. The dragon speculation, yes.
Yes. Okay. So the dragon is something that's gotten brought up in the past, and like infamously as part of the packaging, Nate Barch included this giant dragon head that has sort of been just sort of a question for the longest time of like, are we getting a dragon? And at one point, it was mentioned. I forget exactly the quote from Cornboy, so I'm not even going to try and say it again. But like they've kind of been cagey about it. But I honestly would say it has felt more like officially they've been saying no. Like that's how I've been hearing it. Like kind of like leaning against it. And for a lot of reasons, right? If you think about, look at the size of this dragon head, and that if you're thinking about that as the size of a Mythic Legions figure, which I kind of have in this, right? You can kind of gauge by AWOK. So like if that's the figure, like the head is like my size head. So how big is the body, right?
Yeah.
So like there's this question, do we really even want this? Could we actually do this? And so let me ask you, if somebody made that large of a dragon, is that something you would even consider as someone who's heard about dragons all your life?
I would want a dragon.
Okay.
That big of a dragon, I'm not sure about. That big of a dragon, I probably couldn't afford to purchase. But and that was another thing. I've been watching their releases, which I picked up the skeletons. Then they did Frankenstein, and now they're doing a set of 4 skeletons. I'm
Right.
like, would they? And then they announced the big the part swapping nights that's going to be at LegionsCon. So I was like, would they really pile all that on and then give you a $500 dragon? I'm just kidding. I have no idea how much that would cost, but
if just following what you just said, would they pile all that on and then ask you for a $300 dragon?
Right.
I mean, even
I
then,
have no
it's
idea.
like that feels like a lot. But who knows? But I'm with you on like, I think it would be cool. Could I take that big? I couldn't if I wanted to. Like I love my family too much, but maybe Josh is onto something. That's a trick. It's a huge head, but the body's like really tiny. Could be. And then Doke is saying they gave us dragons, and I'll maybe get to that if I'm assuming you're talking about Dragon Sire. Maybe that's what you're talking about, like a Rakagor. But Cornboy said that like it would, if they were to, it would be like 3 feet, which is way too much. I'm there with you. I'd love the challenge. It's kind of like the Thundercats, Cat's Lair, or Eternia, right? Those are things that like I am so excited that it exists, and I'm happy for people. It's just not something I can partake of. So I'm hoping someone near me can get one so I can go look at it occasionally. Yeah, I mean, Josh is saying, not sure they would do that on top of the big $400, $500 wave. Exactly. So the Friday before G-Con, they're going to be announcing a wave. Granted, Josh, that could be the wave. The wave could consist of 1 dragon. with that said, and no chewings down with the chibi baby dragons, for sure. Giant head, little baby body. Okay, but here's why I think there's a possibility that they could do something big like a dragon. I don't know how big, but this is my in the age of 2024 USA conspiracy theories. Let me try and do one that I think is relatively harmless compared to some of the other things that are out there. Let's go way back. 9 years ish. Mythic Legions, 10 years of the anniversary when they started, but like by the time it was unveiled on Kickstarter, and then even by the time people had the stuff in hand, this is the first wave of Mythic Legions figures. And from the get, you'll take a look. It's all essentially the same buck. But they demonstrated their creativity with those bucks by giving us different silhouettes with different heads. But essentially, it's like a typical 1.0 body, and then some shorter bodies, and right. So it was like that. These guys all generally have generally the same size and silhouette. Sure, there are shorter ones, but you get the idea, right? So, okay, we get it. New line, same basic body, moving on. Not that long after, they essentially re-released their older toy line, Gothitropolis, took those molds, did some repaints, created some new heads, and gave an all birds wave, which was kind of cool, which is if I'm sort of following the breadcrumbs. Pretty quickly after their first unveiling of the new Mythic Legions wave, they wanted to show that in this world, there could be all sorts of shapes, sizes, creatures, races, and they have a penchant for animals/creatures. Okay. I can't ignore that they had this character as well. Just throw that out there. This is all within like a year and a half of the line existing. Then the next wave, though, pretty quickly, and I just want to highlight it. What stands out to me here is these two guys, because they went from having basically one body, right, one basic type of body. Sure, they had skeletons and dwarves, but to all of a sudden having like a little bit about a foot tall, thick troll body. Rotocast, right? So like it's hollow, kind of a different style construction. To me, this signals a toy company who's like obviously profoundly creative, but like not necessarily looking to just do the same sort of figure type, but like wants to explore. Following me so far?
Yeah, I've got one of those. It's
okay.
A nice figure. So
yep. And so, like there's limited articulation. That's what allows them to do it. It's rotocast. It's a different process. So part of this is like, could they, since they have this capability under their belt, they've clearly demonstrated from really early on, they weren't trying to just make the 6.5 inch size. It's not in the realm of sort of like complete make-believe that they would want to explore bigger types of creatures and find creative ways of pulling it off. So yeah. I guess that's what I'm trying to say so far. Now, fast forward to their first sort of like anniversary while Mythic Legions was happening, their first sort of bigger celebration, I'd say. And they did a big celebration for the 20th anniversary of Four Horsemen. And here's where I get weirdly conspiratorial. It's Four Horsemen. Horses are clearly a big thing for them. So their logo is a horse. So they said, hey, let's do an ogre scale figure, but let's give them a horse head. And let's make this like awesomely like unique creature. Again, if you're following me, they're willing to like think outside the box, given the tools that they have. They have a penchant for creatures. And the horse one becomes particularly important because this one was like, oh, that's cool. Like they're taking their big humanoid body and they got a horse head that, as folks know, is interchangeable with their horses, right? And so I'll just leave that there real quickly. I'm going to check the chat to see if anybody's like, dude, whatever, stop. What are you smoking, Brick? No, none of that. No, everyone's like, okay, they're kind of, they're along for the ride. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, Nolan's saying, I guess if they did a dragon, it would have to be a bit bigger than the trolls. Exactly, right? So they've kind of set a precedent. By the way, do you have either of these?
Oh, me, no.
This
is the first time I've saw these. So.
Oh, really? Okay. This is the was meant to be the sort of normal one, the Equidon, which is, I guess, harder to get. They were talking about it last night. I do have this one. It's one of my favorite figures ever. We have a creature in my people's folklore called the Tikbalang, which is like a horse-headed creature, but it's just such a cool thing. But again, take a look at that silhouette, man. That's like Four Horsemen Studios.
Cool. Yeah,
you know, they're going to explore. They're not shy about trying to do something different and new. And of course, they're, in this case, they were just building on what they had. But I want to point out, this was what they gave us, their fans, to celebrate their 20th. What are they going to do on the 25th and the 10th of the line? Okay. More breadcrumbs. Fast forward. This is, geez, what was this? Oh, I forget how far back. It's like 4 proper waves back, I think, 4 or 5. But this is before Poxus. But they came out with this, again, taking existing parts, but they're like, we're going to explore creatures. This was the first time they explored a brand new scale in the brute scale body, a little bit bigger than the others. I'm just trying to show, like, hey, man, Mythic Legions, Four Horsemen, they have no problem exploring new things while working with their legacy product. And I just want to remind people that their legacy product was, like, pretty much from jump included a giant figure. So again, they have the creativity, they have the know-how, they have the track record. Could they be heading towards a dragon? I don't know. I thought this was pretty fun, and I love this figure. It's one of my favorites, in fact. That in stock sale for the creature, I, for reasons unknown to anyone with a sense of reasoning, I decided to get another Apharius.
Yeah, your last week's episode talking about that makes me wish I'd have picked one up. So,
well, the good news is they've come with other centaurs, so this is coming up. And I just bring this up because, like, I know they are branching away from, you know, they want to fill up this world of mythos with, like, truly diverse creatures, races, shapes, sizes, literally. And so a dragon feels like that could be a more sort of like extra special offering if that's their way of doing business. This thing is dope. Can't wait to have it. Again, it's like, I don't know where this is going to go, but it's rad. Okay. From horses to dragons. People, this was, so this would be Poxus Wave, I think 3 or 4 G-Cons ago, I want to say. So we're seeing a pattern here, right? So they give us a dragon, and everybody thought, oh, is this the dragon we're going to get? And they're pretty clear, like, no, it's not a dragon exactly. It's Dragosire. They refer to them as cousins of dragons, again, asserting that dragons exist in the world. Again, this figure, easily one of my favorite figures. I don't know how this happened, but like, because of these ogre scale, I've ended up getting like a lot of ogre scale that it almost looks like I collect a whole different scale of action figures. But this thing's fantastic, and they know it. But this was, between this and this, they use this body for a Cosmic Legions figure. Not another dragon looking guy. They did that for Scourge, this guy. But they also did it for one of the earliest aliens, whose name escapes me at the moment. But again, like dragon-like in form. And then more recently, for another big sort of anniversary release meant to kind of like represent the company at Big Bad Toy Store, they chose this, of all animals, of all creatures, to represent their line to a really, like, ultimately broad audience, right? BBTS people. So I don't know. So far, what are you thinking? Does this at all help build a case for why maybe a dragon could be coming at all, or are you so far? Yeah,
I could see it. And then you talking about the trolls, or the yeah, that's the bigger figures, right? The trolls.
Yep.
So I mean, I think those were 120, right? Retail.
This guy is.
No, I was meaning the the trolls, the bigger characters.
Oh, 100. Are you saying $120?
Yeah, weren't they?
Not when they came out. They were like kind of like this. They're about like 75.
Yeah.
Like for example, they re-released, so they aren't super that
So
big.
I mean, and thinking about a dragon, when I think about toy photography and the bigger characters, I've got Galactus sitting over there, and a Sentinel. They have presence. They don't necessarily need a lot of articulation. I think a bigger figure doesn't need as much articulation as a smaller figure might.
Exactly.
So I could see how they could keep the price down lower with that, so $300 would probably be a fairly good price point. I was just thinking about the price I paid for the rock troll. I do wish he had a little bit more articulation, but he has presence when I take a photo of him. So
yeah, he can do,
So.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, what's going on, Attorney Lips? Asking if I'm getting this, or are you thinking about getting this guy at all? Is that something that you're interested in?
Who, myself?
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah, I like those. When I went to PowerCon, they had the green one. Don't know his name. Apologize
Scourge.
yeah.
It's okay. I collect a line and I can barely remember the names. All good.
And I do really like the blue one. This one I probably wouldn't do. So, but I like them. I like the looks of them and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I do too. I can't justify having more than a Rakagor. I thought about it. I love the black dragon. I'm not the black and red. I like in general, but there's a lot of that happening right now. And I've said this before, but I don't think I've said this in public. I'll say that right. I think I've said it on Discord. There's something a little bit Kevin Smith about me to this. Like it's a dude in a hockey jersey, but I'll let that go. Okay. So there's the dragons. Okay, back to the trail. Two G-Cons ago now. They showed that they weren't shy about exploring new things. So in this case, they gave us a whole new creature that is meant to be more like creature-y, the Terpiculi, this undead creature that just has totally unique body style. Granted, they're just sort of mixing and matching different parts to create it. There's some of this was new for the time, but again, looking to do different types of creatures. I'll just sort of leave that there. And then this was a big deal because people thought, hey, N.E.W.S, one of the four horsemen in this world, needs a steed. And there was a question, are they going to make a skeleton horse? And, people were like, realistically, would they invest that kind of money into this one-off skeleton horse? I doubt it. If anything, maybe we'll get a horse with like skeleton armor or something. And then G-Con came and they said, no, we're absolutely willing to invest in a whole lot of tooling and a whole lot of sculpting to give you something brand new that may or may not have a life beyond this figure. I don't know if there are more skeleton horses coming. I mean, likely yes, but clearly they want to invest in creating some new things and surprise us. They're not shy in trying to surprise us, right? And so this was huge. I remember this. The first, the Terpiculi, people were like, "Whoa, that's crazy." Then this, it was like, "Oh my god, like, what are they doing?" And so, if they're willing to do this 2 G-Cons ago for a horse of one of the characters, when really they could have easily just given the same horse mold, what else do we think they might be willing to do and invest in, right, on this 25th year anniversary and 10th anniversary? And then last year, same thing, right? We thought, oh, cool figures. Yeah, they're finishing up these 2 factions between the Red Sons and the Assassins, and oh my god, I'm totally blanking. Fake fan. House of the Noble Bear. They dropped this. Do you remember hearing about this? Do you remember like the noise that was happening in the not just Legions community, but the toy industry when this thing dropped?
Yeah, I was making a little noise myself.
Well, I love how,
I'd love to have articulated animals, period.
Yep.
I mean, I buy the G.I. Joe Classified every figure that comes with an animal, that's what I do.
Yep,
So,
yep. Oh wait, Mythic Legions. Yeah, didn't know it was that high on BBTS. Or maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's like 120. Anyway, but yes, I'm all about creatures in general, animals, absolutely. And so it's fair to say that this caught the attention of not just Legions fans, right? That a lot of us were like, holy crap, they're giving us a big old bear. This also had a high markup so there was the pre-order price, and then there was like quite a decent markup from that pre-order price at retail. But we saw the level of work they put into this thing, right? The sculpting, the details, the articulation. This thing has a standing up option. So again, what could they do this year that could even just match the hype that they got, the attention they got from the rest of the toy industry last year?
Yeah.
Could it be a dragon? Would a dragon do that? Let me ask you that. Would a dragon do that, do you think? Would it capture people's attention beyond Legions fans?
I think it would. Just thinking about, I mean, you got D&D people and just I think everybody would pay attention to a dragon. I mean, it would and something on a larger scale for sure. I know I have a couple friends that talked about the green and the blue and the red smaller figure dragons. Talked about that. And just I mean, you've got Lord of the Rings, and which a lot of this is all this stuff builds on each other, and Mythic Legions and all these different things, which you see the growth from Mythic Legions, and you see you see Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, you see Savage Crucible, you see all the different toy lines. Yes. I mean, and then there's others that I don't know the exact terminology for them, So a dragon would be cool. Because I need something for my AWOK figures to fight, So
yeah. A dragon is universal enough to work across other lines. Okay, so let's pause for a second. So you're seeing sort of like they have a penchant for creatures, trying to give us new and different things along the way. Along the way, they started a different toy line, and that was Cosmic Legions. And even there, they surprised us with in two of their waves by giving us more creatures, like completely different. Now they're just full in going like sci-fi fantasy with these things, right? Giving us alien fauna between this one and then later this sort of alternate, I don't know if it's a same genus, different species kind of deal, but Bungie in a different type of scapeback. So again, working on four-legged creatures, unique anatomy, different joints, doing some exploration. To me, it just lends itself to the possibility that this studio is, one, not afraid of doing creatures and maybe surprising us. I will say, like, spoiler alert, I don't think it's going to be a gigantic dragon, but I'm just trying to lay out the argument. And yes, there is a thesis. You kind of missed some of it, Trevor, but yeah, we're going there. Okay. And you're involved, sir. You're absolutely involved. Okay, I'm gonna go. No, I think there's that. That's that. So dragon, I think it's in the realm of possibility. It seems to fall into the logic by which Mythic Legions has developed as a line, right? And I think I've tried to make that case. And again, I apologize for the conspiracy theory yarn handling, but there's that. So. It sounds like you're following me on that one. Yeah. Thumbs up generally. Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Now that's exciting to me. The possibility is cool there. Again, if it's something really huge, honestly, it's probably not something I'm going to get, but I'm going to be happy it exists, just like Eternia, just like the Cat Slayer, just like all of these crazy huge toys that I have to witness from afar. I'll switch gears a little bit. Okay, so if that's not it, when you hear the phrase Mythic Legions, what do you think about? Sorry, don't even actually. I don't want to put you in a trap like that. But that's a name that. Are you familiar? Do you know who Ted Biaselli is?
No.
Okay, so longtime Masters of the Universe fan. He now works at Netflix as a producer of a lot of great shows, including Motu, Revolution, Wednesday, the One Piece live action adaptation, and there's like so many more, Umbrella Academy, and on and on and on. And one time he was saying, like, I wanted to throw this out there, the Four Horsemen, that if you were ever to do dios or environments, like for your awesomely, sculpted, painted, gorgeous figures to live in, I think you should make it modular and call them Mythic Legions. But so I wanted to play on that idea because the guys at the clubhouse last night, again, Joe Gonzalez, who was there, Oz was there, Ed, Adam Highly Articulated, John from the Collecting Brothers, and Thanos. They were having this conversation, and I guess it's come up somewhere. And this is definitely something I'm thinking about, because you and I were talking about the customs community, the photography community. Clearly, that's a big deal in Mythic Legions fandom, Cosmic Legions fandom, Figura Obscura, right? So I think there's a case for, if not a dragon, or maybe even in addition to, we get something like Mythic Legions. Sorry, it makes me laugh for a couple of reasons that I'm not going to name here, because frankly, well, yeah. So, but like the idea of like Four Horsemen produced modular spaces to take pictures of and to display these awesome toys. Because can you imagine being Eric Treadaway and the gang, who like spend so much time crafting this beautiful toy line, and then they get folks like Trevor, again, I told you you're involved, Trevor, who clearly know how to like take a picture of them in space, like you're doing with the AWOK stuff, right? And take the time to set up this gorgeous thing. Like, why would you want to sell people toys and then they have to like put them on some generic shelf, right? Like, why not support them, like truly putting them into these gorgeous settings that they can take home, all for the fine price of whatever it is, right? And I say modular because that's Mythic Legions. That's the toy line, right? They know a thing or two about modularity, pop and swap, etc. So where is he going to go with this? Going back to the N.E.W.S wave. This figure, I know, sorry. You're like, I didn't know that. But let me ask you this. As a photographer, I want you to pay attention to this, like the stuff that's coming up. Do you ever look at toys and just go, I don't like the figure, but damn, that accessory would be cool to throw in the background of a photo?
Yeah, I've spent way too much money just buying a figure just for the accessory. So yeah.
So let me ask you this: why wouldn't a company who works with a bunch of great toy photographers and sees their figures like being used in toy photography not cater to that and support that and have a hand in actually creating these environments that people can buy and just like go to town with them?
To be honest, I'm doing that myself with my customization of my diorama pieces and stuff. When I first started taking photos, somebody commented, "That's an aquarium piece in the background." Well, that's all I had, you know. But I still wanted to take the photos, you know. But it pushed me to customize my own, which I know people that do great custom work with you know, Carver Customs, Duarte, which he does a lot of their dioramas and stuff. And I think of the artistry of that, and you know, I wouldn't think they would do anything really big, because I feel like that would affect their fan base a little bit, you know, with doing something like that. So fair. Carver does some great, you know, torches and that kind of thing that light up and stuff. And I would like to purchase some of those sometime, but, you know, and just thinking about, you know, cause I was, before the I was flipping through all the different people that are customizing stuff, and you know, I think if they did something like that, it would need to be something that would add to stuff that people are already doing. So
fair enough. But couldn't one make the argument that they produce heads and hands packs, and yet so many of their customizers are creating alternate heads and armors and stuff, and in many ways those folks really wouldn't have a thing to make if it wasn't for Four Horsemen, right? You know what I mean? So it's almost like it has been symbiotic. If they were to kind of just create the space, and maybe they could do so in a way that doesn't totally eat into what other folks are doing, and if anything, it might spark some imagination. So here's a thought. How about, what if they did snow dios, grassland dios, leafy forest dios, and then called them mythic seasons? But there's something that, what if it was just sort of like more of a general background kind of thing with pieces, and then there's still room for other people to do a carver torch, or to do a to do, so that stuff wouldn't necessarily go away.
Well, yeah, that's true. Which, if we all knew what Trevor knew, we would probably not be too worried about it at all. So
right. And so here, don't distract us. And he's like, we're really dragging this out. I'm sorry. Okay, so back to so like this cage, all of this stuff, I look at that and I remember seeing this and going like, huh, what are they playing at? Because it's like, it's new. Maybe they're just trying to make their figures even more awesome, which is great. Obviously, it did. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But it also set a precedent for them to be thinking beyond just the figure, to be thinking of world building a little bit more, and like really expanding beyond the main figure and a couple of weapons, but like other things that exist with the character, like animals and cages. And okay, so that's just the first one. I know I'm dragging it on, and I'll keep going. So then we get to Figura Obscura, where I think they absolutely crushed this idea of adding things into these figures that just build the world, right? So I'll start with Headless. Actually, I'll fast forward. We know that these figures come stocked. They come with surprises.
Yeah.
Father Christmas came with like, the Christmas tree, which is like the beginning of like a little bit of a dio, right? An environment for Father Christmas to hang out with, not to mention the toys and all the other things. Sun Wukong didn't really come with a whole lot in terms of sort of background, but there were like accessories that built out his world that come from Journey to the West. Mask of the Red Death was a big deal, though, in terms of where I'm going with this, because they added that amazing clock, right? And that pool of blood, which is integral to the story, right? As far as like, and really helped, like, made for an awesome display piece, right? This is like, why do that? All of it. Maybe just for fun, maybe just for Figura Obscura. Fair enough. But maybe they're exploring, hey, what else can we pack in with these figures to help build a world? And then we all know that Jacob Marley came with the safe, right? Again,
keys.
All of this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. And then more recently, this I can't even tell you about, like the plethora of stuff that this came with. I mean, come on, they didn't need that, but they did. And that's just more experimentation for the studio to make things, again, beyond the action figure, to support photographers, to build a world. And then, of course, this amazing thing, like, people, I don't know if people thought I was kidding, but like, I ended up with creatures multiplying over here. And each one of those came with this amazing stuff, right? Like, come on now. They didn't need to do that.
I saw,
right?
I wished I'd have picked this figure up. I saw a photo today and I was like, okay, because everybody's using all the pieces for different stuff.
Exactly.
And, the coat, I saw somebody use a coat and make a pirate out of it. I mean, it's, so.
Look at all this stuff. They didn't need to include all this stuff, right? But they're starting to. And so folks might be, yeah, but dude, that's just Figura Obscura. Fair enough. But then Cosmic Legions, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're throwing in an Ox Crew Campsite collection. more props, just because. It's just so that Trevor can have dope things to take photos of for sure and build in a world. Maybe, right? They said, well, let's do it again with the Wasteland Survival Kit. Huh. It's like now they're really investing a lot of time and energy into adding these things that aren't like weapons or, and again, for photographers, can you think of what you could use this for AWOK?
Oh yeah. I mean, 10 different things.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, and thinking about them possibly doing dial pieces, I mean, it would be really neat if they could do the things that are intricate and kind of hard to do.
Yep.
That would be really, really neat to see.
Yeah. And, here's the other piece. I'm just thinking factory-made dials or playsets are a lot cheaper than customs. So it could open the door to a ton of collectors that don't have a budget for a custom dial, which is true depending on, mass production. And they could offer them at much cheaper than some of the things that are out there. Again, not trying to eat into other folks. I get it, but I think there's a world where those things can exist. A Mythic region or Mythic Seasons dial could be $50. A custom dial can be more than that. Josh Brown is saying, I, for one, could use some entry-level mass-produced affordable dials. Just saying. And then we get to this. Trevor never really and the studio, they just more amazing shots from Trevor from this last wave announcement of Mythic Legions. They decided to for some reason, never done before, include a vehicle. Sure, it's part of the story, maybe builds character, but and Trevor has shared that they built this thing in the studio, right? Like this huge thing, and people put studio time into making this for photos.
And he also, I watched, I don't remember which podcast it was, but he talked about if you think you'd like to have that, let such and such know, and that kind of thing. And so I don't know if he was hinting at something or just saying, if y'all like this, let them know. So.
Absolutely. I heard that as well, but okay, so I get it. They're not necessarily going to produce this because I could see it. This could be a really expensive item and it's huge. They don't know if people want it, but it's also interesting, a thing to do, whether for marketing purposes or whatever, for awesome photos as Trevor has. But if you're just exploring this, you're already doing this and you're selling this, right? And I just want to point out, it was used in every single photo. It was kind of there. This was, which you could argue, well, if they're going to make it, they might as well maximize it. But again, I feel like this is a company that's exploring things beyond action figures, which has been their wheelhouse for so long. This is a company that's trying to look at what else is out there and is very mindful of what the community has been doing and their sort of play habits or collecting habits. So I'm not saying the vehicle means they're gonna make vehicles, but I'm just saying at this point, if I look at the track record, I could see them kind of either, if not full on dios, even more of this sort of building set pieces or other things that can work into this world. What say you in the chat? Am I crazy? Was that long-winded for no reason?
So you're saying a warhorse and chariot? Is that what you're saying?
Who's that? Me?
Yeah,
I guess I'm
just chariot is what Brick's theory is.
No. Ultimately, I think my theory, I'm just laying out the two theories that I've heard and trying to make a case for them. I was trying to wrap my head around what's the case for the dragon? Could that happen? And what's the case for this idea of Mythic Seasons / Mythic Regions or dios / stuff for toy photographers? I don't know at all what's going to happen, but what I do know is this. Here in the announcements, when they kind of lay out the schedule of what's going to be happening, here's this big, G-Con reveal. And I already established how Jeremy Gerard said, this is going to get attentions of definitely Legions fans, Four Horsemen fans, but also people from across the toy industry. They got people's attention with a bear. What could they do this year? I think either of those things that I presented could satisfy at least that. Not saying it's going to be those, but I do think that they check that box. I think if Four Horsemen said, hey, here's a gigantic dragon, we did it. As you said, people who collect toys, period, or into fantasy would absolutely, their ears would perk up. Or if they said, we're going to start producing non-action figures, but we're also in addition going to create things that support our toys by giving them environments and or accessories to interact with, build a world. Like either one, I think would cause some interesting chatter across the toy industry. And I know that that's definitely something that people would be interested in. So, but as I know, Vaz, like Trevor won't spill the beans because he's a penultimate professional. That's probably not the right word, but he's a badass. And we'll be talking to him in a couple of days, and I swear I won't be asking you about this. But he'll be here in a couple of weeks. But let me ask you: do you think there's a world in which you would want to purchase either dios or more props, produced, designed, painted, sold by the Four Horsemen Studios?
If somebody out there would do that, I would probably, and they look like Four Horsemen stuff do, I would probably purchase some of that stuff. Whether it be a castle wall or whatever, because these are things I'm going to be making in the future for myself, so if there was an easier way to do that, so I could take more photos, I would probably do that. So.
And I think you're not alone in that. And you said the magic phrase, which I 100% agree with, like that looks like the rest of their stuff. Because these guys, we know, produce fantastic stuff and have like a really high bar for quality. So they wouldn't put Four Horsemen Studios on anything that was like, didn't match that. So if they were to move into gigantic creatures like a dragon or the dios, which we're talking about now, and that kind of stuff, it's going to be quality. And that's what I guess I'm saying is they've already sort of proven to us that what they could offer, right, in that kind of realm of things is quality.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to the yarn spinning. If you look at Saturday 1, what's going on up here on this 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock? We cannot reveal what we have planned here just yet. Specifics to be revealed, but let's just say it'll be a whole new way to adventure within the realm of mythos. Some people wonder, is that the video game? Maybe. That feels like that's been a thing that's been out there. I don't know if they'd want to tease it in this way because I think there's kind of like, I just think there's a different level of attention to that than teasing, hey, something.
It's a different, I feel like the video game would be a different community in itself.
That too.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
And then day 2, this mysterious third floor again. So I don't know. I feels like that's a big space to check out something new and exciting that maybe is going to be revealed on G-Con. Anyway, that's my TED Talk. Thank you for sitting through that, Brian. But I actually appreciate
they need some place to put all those 1,000 swigs too. So that too. Okay. Anyway, that was it. Trevor, remain silent if I'm absolutely correct. Okay, cool. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about what's going to be at the show. And because there's some people, as I said, like, okay, those are all total speculation, could be total crap, whatever, having fun with it. And that's what it's about. I know whatever they show me at G-Con is going to be dangerous for my wallet. So speaking of dangerous for the wallet, let's talk about all the cool things that will be at the con that I think are going to reach folks like yourself into looking to expand their toys, customize their toys, and take photos of their toys. Josh Brown, who was on the show a couple of weeks back, will be there along with D. Blake Makes at their table, and they'll be selling he'll be selling his parts that he sells on Josh Brown Customs. And so there's some custom heads that he shared the other day that I think are just really cool sculpted. He's going to be at table 42, sculpted by HSE Juro and sculpted by Giant Art. Cool head, like again, like serpentine
horned, cool little wizard thing. I'll zoom in there for you. Cool looking. Does it hit your penchant for fantasy, high fantasy, and wizards in the lakes?
Yeah. I mean, all this stuff hits my. I
100%.
love it all. So it's and since I've been customizing, it's more in. I really like painting the heads too. I figured that out with the AWOK figures. So
nice. Yeah, so this thing was really cool. And then there's going to be painted heads as well. Just wanted to share some of these. These are all by Casting Cave, painted by Casting Cave. I want to say, if not actually sculpted. It just says these pieces shown here are from Casting Cave. I don't know who the painting are. Josh, if you're in here, can you let us know? Oh, wait, all of these are sculpted by Jason Demon 3D Studio. So does that mean Casting Cave is a painter? Am I right on that, Josh? See, look. Love you, Trevor. So I think these are really cool. Some things that are hinting at, other IPs. Venger from Dungeons and Dragons, some really cool looking goblins.
Looks like it would be a cool crossover Scarlet Witch of some sort too.
That's true. I never really thought about how close Venger looked to comics Wanda Maximoff. And then this one I'm really intrigued by. A lot more a lot more third-party parts makers are using the transparent stuff, and so that we can sort of paint and then have that transparent effect. I think I want to try my hand at one of these. So I'm going to stop by Josh's.
That would be fun to have, really. Mm-hmm. I've been looking at that kind of stuff too.
Imagine like keeping the eye clear and you can kind of still see through a little bit depending on the light behind it. Anyway, he's going to have some cool stuff. And as Adam pointed out here, dope. Good job, Adam. Here's a heart for you on that one. Okay, so that's cool. Glad Josh is going to be there. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Here's a dude that actually lives pretty close to me. A comrade, a toy photography comrade of Trevor's, Michael Duggar, Insightful Imagery. He's making, so he's a toy photographer himself, super talented, and we'll take a look at some of his stuff in a little bit. But he'll be at LegionsCon with these things. He crafts these little props, right? So he's like almost like for your Mythosian cheers, right? Complete with foam. I just think this stuff is fantastic, especially for you all taking dope photos.
That's art.
Yeah.
I mean, just to think of that and be able to put it out there, it's just art. So
yeah. Fantastic. Oh yes, and Corey painted them. Casting Cave. Excellent. This thing, like, it's absolutely art, and it looks like it's so photo real and photo ready, right? All the wood grain, and just I don't exactly know what he does. He has shared some of the work in progress stuff. Let's take a look at some more. Oh, come on. This was when my computer was being silly. But here's some of the work in progress stuff, and you can see all the work that he puts into this stuff. On these barrels, right? The paint masking, and it's gorgeous stuff. And absolutely, like, I know I just went on this tirade about the Horsemen producing stuff, but like, we don't got to wait for that. This stuff is going to be ready at LegionsCon. Hit up Michael. What is his table? I'm gonna have to look for your table number in a second. But if you're here, let us know. Let's see. But I have it in my notes. But this stuff is really cool. But wait, there's more, right? Just like this, it's so specialized too, right? But super smart in that. Like, I feel like people want to build out the world of Mythos. Check that out.
It's cool.
You can see Pale hanging out with his dad and bonding over a couple of brews, right? Whatever they drink.
Yeah. Might need a bigger mug for Thane, but yeah.
True. It's going to look like a shot glass in his hand. Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be, so Michael's going to be with PL Toy Box Photography at booth 38. Booth 38. This stuff looks great. And then here, check out this guy's work. And so he like, what's great is I'm sure like he wants to see these things. He's like, probably, I don't know this for a fact. I'm just guessing. And Michael, you can tell us if you're still here. I wonder if it started because he was trying to make stuff that he wanted to take photos with, right? And then now it's become sort of this thing of like, well, I can maybe mass produce these and kind of recoup some of my costs and, you know, help others have this great stuff. But what's cool is he can take these amazing photos and sort of show off his own product, right?
I
love
it's really cool.
Not unlike what you all are doing with the AWOK figures and the collab, really showing us like what's possible with these awesome toys. I think this is dope. And then here's another item that he's been working on, hard at the grindstone. He built a grindstone for Mythos, and with that, this thing actually works and it spins and stuff. And you can kind of see the unpainted prototype here, different materials too, right? The wood peg and the 3D printed parts. Really cool to see the texture. Look at that.
That's amazing.
And there is texture on the wheel as well. So it's working in the sense that it spins, won't necessarily sharpen your cool plastic blades, but you can kind of see the process, man. Like, respect, Michael, like he's doing such cool stuff. You can see the digital sculpt here. And, you know, trying to figure out what's needed to make it functional, get it ready for printing. So cool, man. And so to the point earlier about like, what if Four Horsemen started making some of this stuff? It's not gonna, they're not gonna make everything that people are making. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna make a grindstone? Are they gonna make a tavern? I don't know. And I don't think they have an interest in it. I think they have a vested interest in supporting what this sort of like cottage industry of Legions fans are doing already, and just maybe like build some spaces around them or just add to what people already have. And besides, if you're getting a custom dial, you're like collecting art. That's like one of a kind, handmade, bespoke, gorgeous stuff like this. And the stuff they would do would be more mass produced, right? So it doesn't take away the value of that, or in my eyes, or preclude you from getting some of that stuff. And I did show his books, but he also does books, and just again to show off his photography, man. Just like, this stuff is fantastic. Anyway, what say you? Like, I want to know what are the kinds of things that you would want in props, like a cottage? What are some kinds of things that you've been looking for?
I look for things that catch my which all of this stuff does. I mean, it's you know, just adding to the collection of options, and you know, it's which I've looked at. Which with AWOK, I look at sci-fi stuff, I look at the fantasy stuff, I look at everything. You know, which one of the things I challenge myself to do is like, don't just buy a figure just for one piece.
Right.
You know, and after I started seeing people's photos of Frankenstein, I passed on Frankenstein. I probably shouldn't have, but I saw, you know, the jacket, you could use it for a pirate. You could use it for several different things, you know, and this stuff it just furthers my imagination and creativity too. So I try to always, every toy show I go to, I try to talk to people that's customizing stuff for, you know, when I went to Joe Fest, there was one guy there, I can't remember his name right off the bat, but he was painting Mythic Legions. He was painting Savage Crucible. He painted like 20 figures while he sat there for the weekend. It was just pretty amazing. So, and that's one of the reasons I'd like to go to LegionsCon, is just to be around all the creative people, because it gives me more ideas of things to do, or, you know, that kind of thing. So,
yeah. Well, if there's anything that you have seen online or whatever that you're looking to maybe get some help grabbing, let me know. And, you know, there's a ton of folks there. And I know there's a ton of folks that kind of head back to your neck of the woods that might make it easier to drop off or ship. So but yeah, I know that it's not something in the cards for you to be able to go, but you know, if there's anything, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Michael's stuff. And I got really excited when I found out that he's here. He's in the East Bay. I'm not too far from me. I was like, cool, man. Always looking for, I messaged him right away. I was like, hey man, I'm in South City. Always good to know that there's folks nearby me.
Somebody needs to make a chariot. I'm not saying chariot yet.
Duart Studios did do a chariot at one point.
He did do a chariot. Okay,
he did do a chariot.
So
I think that was last year. But not mass produced and not something that necessarily everybody can get. And this stuff is great. Excellent job, Michael. Obviously, excellent photography. I did want to, like, just on that note, just to kind of make the point, but also just celebrate some of the awesome toy photography that comes about because the Four Horsemen make dope toys, and other companies as well. But and also just to make the point of like why all this like little props and stuff are so important. So here's like all that stuff from that Figura Obscura Frankenstein's creature at work, right? Really selling this shot while also giving us this Joker being about to be manhandled by a Frankenstein's creature. I just think this photo was just a great use of all of these things that I knew we'd be talking about today by What's Up Danger, by Marty. Any thoughts on the shot?
Oh, it's a great shot. I love the different levels. I mean,
yes,
you see the table, you see the Joker, you see him. It's and it gives it all presence too. So
yep. Yeah, I was thinking about like, also it has that same spirit that you do in terms of like making these toys like be fun, right? And like you can mix them all up. No need to be shy. Just like work this stuff together. And so I love this. And you do that a lot too in terms of mixing your figures together. Just dope stuff. While we're on the Frankenstein creature, like so many, like this been out what, like for 2 weeks or so in people's hands maybe, and just the sheer number of photos. Again, the figure itself is dope. It comes with these manacles, or these like, I don't know if that's the right word, but the chains and stuff. Obviously he's got the soft goods and everything, but like even just that little detail, it's totally cloaked in shadow. You can, but you can make it out, and it's such a cool little thing to include in this figure for toy photographers to bring to life. Like this shot here by Two Action Toys, by Johnny. Anyway, just another one of these things. I don't know, like when you mentioned levels, I was like, yeah, you're totally right. And I look at this, I'm looking at the creature, I'm looking at the pose, I'm looking at this, but also like the ha, and keeping track of this stuff in the back. For some reason, the Joker seems to be a running theme in these. I don't know, or, intentionally or not, but yeah. Any thoughts on like check out that space? That's an environment, right? Again.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of depth there, and that's one of the things that you try to create when you're doing toy photography, which Trevor will be able to tell you more about this stuff than I would. but it captures my attention, and just the depth that you see in a lot of this, and that Frankenstein's monster has been used in humorous shots. It's been used in serious shots. It's just different levels of different stuff, and
right, different levels, 100%.
And it's amazing to see the creativity, because just the humorous shots. I saw a picture with somebody had a hat on him, and it was just a fun shot. And I think just seeing different people's imagination put into the photos is part of the fun of it all.
Absolutely. And you can almost see how like the horsemen themselves, like really almost, obviously, sorry, this is by Toy Optics, and that's aka the Sarlacc. You can, so obviously the Sarlacc / Toy Optic, like they had, I'm not taking anything away from them, but the Four Horsemen helped really usher this photo by providing him with all the things that you see here, right? Like, again, not something that typically comes with our figures, but this is rad. Look at that setup right there. It's like, and just lit perfectly in the background so that the depth of field is real, like, you know, we're focused on this creature here, but this stuff is there, and it reads still as this lab, this sketchy ass lab. And yeah, I just feel like they get it, right? The studio gets how to support their fan base to make the most out of these toys. Man, the photos on this single toy alone have been so fun to watch. So anyway, any thoughts on this one?
I just love all the different the things that are blurred out, you know, just being able to push the Frankenstein forward in the shot, and then if you know, which I've seen that Hagnon head in the pictures too, you know, with and it's just they're just fun to see.
Absolutely, one of my favorites, man. Just absolutely one of my favorites. I love it so much. There were a couple of other shots that I wanted to share. This one, so man, again, these figures absolutely gorgeous. By Cad's Toys, Kadir, just obviously, I don't know how to get rid of these, whatever, Instagram, but just like clearly inspired by what the Horsemen have provided in this set, and just taking it to that like super dynamic shot. I love it. This is an old toy. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's awesome. And people, I know that this isn't a new shot for him, but still just really cool. And since the studio, you know, kind of like signal boosted it again, because they found some of these, and I think, if I'm remembering correctly, but yeah, anyway, it's a dope shot. That horse is like, also again, sells the toy. It shows you what you can do with these figures, right?
Yeah. And I've got that horse, and then I've got the is it Brutus or what's the black horses? Black gray horse.
Like I said, is it Valia?
I mean, it's the last horse that they did, I think.
Okay.
It came out when
I'm terrible.
I'm not good on. Sure. I'm horrible with Mythic Legions names. So
yeah, no one blames you at all. I don't think so. So really cool.
But they do fantastic horses. It's, you know, they're just fun to mess with and pose.
Definitely. So. And they just make great toys for that. Again, this is a little bit of like, hey, check out this, but this is the community that I'm really excited to get to be around in a couple of weeks at LegionsCon. And just man, like we were talking about Arachagor earlier, but then adding sort of the effects, right? I'm assuming a lot of definitely digital. But like taking, you know, the skeleton body and then taking the heads from other figures, just gorgeous stuff. This is Toy Immersion, Aaron Toy Photography, Aaron Toy Photos. Really cool stuff. I don't know. Have you messed at all with digital like manipulation at all? Is that something you've done or looking into?
I use lights. The only thing digital that I've really done, maybe a background. I try not to paint too much on mine. You know, I do amp my colors up. I'll trace the figure out and brighten the figure up and do some of that kind of stuff. But I don't try. Well, I mean,
you're not making fake flames, or
no.
I
try to create that on my shelf. You know, I've got the smoke and that kind of thing, and I'll do that on my own. You know, so I think it's more fun to capture it live than to manipulate it all. You know, which if I was better at it, I might do that more often. So thank you.
I think it's cool. I like. Oh yeah. It's either in Espanol Borrios or I think it's actually Boreas. Either one. Yes. And then either it doesn't, like, at the end of the day, I'm down for people using their tools and trying to figure it out. I think this shot just, like, you know, I've seen some people try it. I think this shot does an exceptional job of
It
doing
looks
the
like a painting.
manipulation.
I mean,
Mhm.
you know, it does look like a painting. So
Smart use of the figures and all the parts. And then maybe one last Legion sort of centric photo, and not even really truly Legion centric, but to your point of the humor, I believe it must have been, was it the villainous one maybe? Because he has a couple of those hat shots, but I love that here. It's the monster party, right? It's the werewolf and the vampire and Frankenstein's creature chilling in the doctor's lab while he's away. And I think it's such a cool shot. It's like someone got their cell phone and started taking selfies. Fun, just absolutely fun.
And thinking deeper about the diorama theory that you have, you know, I have bought all the NECA dios for all the monsters and that kind of thing too. So it's a good theory.
Yeah, and it could be totally wrong, but yeah, just it was something that the fellas over on Oz's Clubhouse, again, you should subscribe if you're not. We're talking about, and it got me thinking. I couldn't join them last night, but I was in bed listening. I was like, oh yeah, yes. But anyway, I know we got a little light on some of the customs and stuff, but I didn't want to spend so I'm going to pause on the customs, but the toy photography stuff, the idea of like the use of props and everything, and just highlighting some of the cool folks that are going to be there providing that kind of stuff, like Michael's stuff. I'm excited by, but I'm also, friend, excited by what you're doing. Let's see, let me bring you back up over here, because not only are you doing the photo collab thing, right? But I kind of lingered on a photo earlier with a Chunari holding up a banner, and you can kind of see it here, right? Can you tell the folks about, like, what's that about? Because that thing is awesome looking, and I think totally tells the story, right? And really brings us into the world. Again, hey, are you telling me that somebody made a prop from this world and is using it in photos?
Well, I'm all
What is
into the
this thing?
comic book. I'm all into the comic book, and I'm all in, I know y'all were bringing up the sigils and stuff, and, I was like, I want a flag. So,
Yeah.
So, my mom, she used to make curtains and things like that for people. I mean, that was her business. And I was like, Mom, can you make me a flag? And she's like,
she said,
why don't you
son,
make your, she's like, why don't you make your own flag? And I was like, okay. So that's what I did with her thumb on my back and, showing me what to do and that kind of thing. So I started making flags, and I was like, well, I want to share this with people. So, and I really pushed my, pushed it and my wife's birthday present to me was to take me to Joe Lanta so I could, it was Joe Lanta. So I could show it to Jason
2 weeks ago.
and
Yeah.
and Eric. And here's the thing: when you make something, you want to see how people react to it. So I made up a couple and took out there to them, and I wanted them to see it and see him and Derek's reaction to it, and they really liked it, and
Yeah, they did.
After I went to Joe Fest too. After Joe Fest, I I was asking Jason, what colors do you want for what colors represent the Chunari, and then so on and so forth. So, and I wanted to make it too for options. So I made it so you could hang it sideways and up and down. So
Yep. So
So,
I'm showing folks here something that you made and are in the process of making more of, and you graciously sent one to me and totally surprised me. Was it last week or this week? Man, I had a long week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So dumb.
But this thing is amazing. So, and I commented to you that like I've had some experience doing exactly what you did here and helping to build a basically a venue, a convention venue in the Philippines in 2001 out of bamboo, and it's like very much like what you've done here, maybe different knots or whatever. But so this is bamboo. This is actual bamboo that you're getting, and which is a perfect material for this. And then this is the banner, beautiful, like what do they call this? But it's a cotton, I forget. But and then is this a vinyl transfer kind of thing?
Yeah.
Of the sigil, of the Chinari sigil, and then it's actually sewn in. So you're sewing now. Your mom showed you how to do the stitch inside and then flip it inside out, right? Yep. And then it's wired so that we can get
My
super
wife's
dramatic,
laughing at me in the other room. So
so that we can get. I can't imagine what she's thinking of me, but yeah, just like get super dramatic with this, right? For the photography, this is awesome. So, and then this is what do you call this? Elastic, right? And so it comes right off. And forgive me, I don't know why this guy is flying these colors. It's just he's been handy. He's been sitting here with me.
Had a cat at hand.
So. Yeah. That's what I had. And then you have the sort of straight pole for a flag. So tell us about what you're thinking might happen with these. So you're making more? What do you?
I'm making more. I want to share them with people that love the line and stuff. Which I put some thought into it. Those that don't know, the sigils have meaning and stuff that you might be able to see. And I tried to incorporate that into the, reading the comic too. That the Chinari they've kind of rejected the sci-fi tech kind of way, and so their sigil is a tree. Because I was asking Jason, is that a tree on the sigil? And he's like, yeah. And then he was breaking it all down to me. So but I I wanted to incorporate that into. So I made the bamboo. Used the bamboo for their flag.
Yep.
So
I think it's fantastic. And again, so speaking along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, like this is the stuff that just builds out the world, right? And can really like, I just think make these figures even better, right? And just kind of give us new ways of either displaying them or taking photos of them. You've made them of a couple of different factions now, right?
Yeah. I plan to make. I've actually got. I'm making 3 flags right now, so that I'll let you guess who those would be. We've got Horde and the Feralist. So I'm working on those too. So
these are really cool.
So if people are interested, I may be making a bunch of those if people would be interested in something like that. So
I think people would be interested. I hope that I'll definitely bring these, as I was saying, to LegionsCon and just kind of have them on the table. I don't know what your thoughts are moving forward, but happy to let people know where they might keep looking for it as they become available from you. But I think it's a great addition. I think, I know Jason's excited about the possibility. I know Derek's absolutely excited about what this does for the line, and just the idea that folks like yourselves would want to like support the line in this way by like giving people new ways to enjoy their figures. So I think this is great, and I appreciate you sending it to me. It was an awesome surprise. And you also sent the great photos and the prints and stuff, and a little bit of Lego for me. So thank you. If Adam is still here, he knows. Does he know? I haven't told him yet.
I haven't talked to him about it. So
okay. Well, don't worry, Adam, because I know how sometimes he thinks you're getting one too. I'll be bringing it to you at LegionsCon. I think this thing is awesome, man, and yeah, that I think it's just excellent.
Yeah, I know Adam likes the Chennari, so.
Oh yeah. So Endless Fables, Brian George. Oh wait, actually, this was how did things go? Did you for this one?
No, that just signified to me that I needed to maybe make some of these. I don't know, because I was kind of in self-doubt when I was
how did people respond?
The funny thing is nobody ever commented about the flag at all. So I was like, well, would people really be interested in these? Because I want to make all the sigils on a flag. So
yep.
So that's just for me personally. So, and I want to share it if other people are interested in it. So
folks, if you're interested, can you please make it known? Because I think people, fans of the line, would love to see this sort of thing available for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. And again, you're doing exactly what Michael is doing, what Josh Brown is doing, and all the sculptors that he works with. Like, you're creating things that just make add more value to these toys. This hobby makes it even more fun. It brings out the creative side for a lot of us, because now we get to go beyond what we've been given by the toy companies and just take photos and share it. And so is this your first sewing project too, by the way?
Yeah, it's my first sewing project.
See, yeah, it taught you a new skill too. Anyway, man, I think it's fantastic, and I am in full support. Whatever you need, man, let's talk, because I think folks should know about this. I think it's a really cool addition, and not just, I mean, obviously for AWOK, but this is the kind of thing that would be rad in a lot of lines, right? The fabric is dope, and I especially like the option of it not being a flag and it being a banner. I think is really, really cool. So anyway, let me thank you, obviously, for this thing, but also for joining this. I know this is a new experience for you, and let me also apologize for leaving you hanging to be the host, the true host of the show, carrying the show for a good portion of it multiple times. So thank you, man. I hope it wasn't too painful.
Oh, it was fun, and it shows me that I might be able to do this if I have 3 people, and in case one of them falls off, I can talk to somebody else. So.
Fair enough. And I really don't know what that was about, but no, you totally can do this.
It's honestly an AWOK tradition, because I remember trying to watch Jason and then he cut out, and then it seems to be a running theme. So anyway.
Man, how is it that I can completely lose internet, but still, I would argue that my internet fidelity was still better than any of Jason's appearances back in the day. Hey, man, I'm glad you had fun, and I had a great time hanging out too. And thank you also to everybody who stuck it out with us and sat through my weird yarn spinning around LegionsCon. At the end of the day, it's just because it's fun, right? So that's what this is about. And I love Brian's positivity that he's bringing to toy collecting, specifically to AWOK, because I think between you, Derek, Jason, everybody that's involved, Adam, everyone that's involved in having a helping hand with that, Kato, Inutabi, I just feel like that's what it's about. It's about having fun. It's about coming together. It's about people just enjoying each other's company, enjoying the toys. And so I appreciate you for that. And I know that you and I are going to keep talking about all sorts of fun things that can happen with AWOK. And I hope I didn't scare you away from hopping back. I'd love to have you back one day when I have more solid internet. And maybe we'll bring in a
let's
third.
just make sure everything's updated and stuff. No,
Yeah.
I had a good time, and I enjoy talking toys, and you know, whether it's AWOK, I love what Brutal Realms doing, and some of the independent toy lines. You know, just can't wait to see what they do. You know, I really like their toy line too, with the different cultures. I love seeing the different cultures, and that I see some of that in the weapons that Jason uses with AWOK too. So it's all fun stuff, and you know, enjoy it. So.
Yep, fun, and there's a little bit of education there too, exposing people to new things. I love it. Folks can follow you on Endless Fables for sure over on IG. You can check out all his photographs. But then again, please, if you're interested, if you're a toy photographer and would love to take a picture of an Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figure for the weekly collab, please hit up Brian at Endless Fables. He'll add you to the list. It's real simple. Just make sure you get your photo in by Monday, and it'll be ready for the Wednesday collab sort of list. And of course, that'll get highlighted on the AWOK Kickstarter, but across social media. Is there anything else that you would like the people to know about, maybe how to be in touch with you, or anything that they should consider?
No, just hit me up at Endless Fables, or you know, you can find me on Facebook, Brian George. So and you know, just keep supporting the line. I just wanted to say, if anybody isn't collecting Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and you've stayed through this part of the show, that there's an awesome sale on some ancients. I'd love to see some custom figures.
Yes.
One of the things I've thought about doing with the custom figures too is, you know, my nieces and nephews may not care anything about any of this stuff that I have, you know, but if I made them a custom figure, I think they might appreciate that a little bit more, and seeing some of that kind of stuff. So
perfect. He sent this photo while we were talking, and it popped up as I was showing your Facebook. Absolutely, like your the young ones in your family are the ones that we definitely want to usher into this toy space, and it really ultimately should be for them. But yeah. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's show. I appreciate you all for hanging out with us. Adam, sorry about that if that wasn't intended, but you know, sometimes things happen. Next Sunday, let's see, who do we got next Sunday? Is it it's either Cloud or Trevor, or maybe I forget the order. I'm so sorry, guys. But you can find out at the Brick Something channel. And I think I put it here last time. Let's see. I'm just like my brain, man. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. It's going to be Cloud next week, and then Trevor. Okay, got it. And then, of course, Nolan. And then that weekend after, that Sunday, I'm not totally sure what's going to happen with the show, because I will be flying from New Jersey back home. So it'll probably be a pre-recorded deal. So anyway, thank you to all of you who continue to drop in to check out the Brick Something News every Sunday at 3:45. I totally, you know, I just realized it's such a mess, but for some reason, if you've been watching this long and you're kind of curious to see anything that we've been talking about, you'll see that URL down there at the bottom. That'll take you to a page that'll have all the links in just a little bit. I guess I should just go ahead and complete it by doing this with a QR code. Yeah, so if you want to scan that. And that. Hit him up, join the AWOK photo collab. Chances are you can't even hear me because of the music. But anyway, that's it. I have no awesome way to end the show except for goodbye, folks. Say goodbye to the folks. Peace, power, all the things. Appreciate you all for hanging out and for bearing with my tech issues.